Hey, what's up, everybody? I am Miss Anita Wilson, and this is Lady Legends, where we celebrate the contributions of women to the music and entertainment industry. Lady Legends is a conversation with beautiful Black women who have shaped culture and whose impact will be felt for generations to come. Today, we are talking with the one and only Vicki Mack Lataillade. Music industry legend and gospel music mogul Vicki Mack Lataillade, with her husband Claude, founded the iconic GospoCentric label in 1992. The label went on to become the largest and most successful independently owned gospel record label in the world. In '96, Lataillade, ultimately considered a shot caller and the most powerful woman in gospel music, founded Be Right Music, changing the face of gospel, as GospoCentric and Be Right artists included hit makers such as Kirk Franklin, Donald Lawrence and Tri-City, Kurt Carr and the Kurt Carr Singers, Tremaine Hawkins, Trinity 5-7, Byron Cage, Jay Moss, David Hollister, Kelly Price, Papa San, Natalie Wilson and S.O.P., Dorinda Clark Cole, God's Property, and the Soul Seekers, just to name a few. The meteoric success of GospoCentric was and still is unrivaled in gospel music history. I'm excited to share just a portion of this in-depth conversation with Vicki Mack Lataillade, offering a glimpse into her foundation, her beautiful family, her ever-evolving passion, and her heart for business and gospel music. Wanted to celebrate the women that I've paid attention to with amazing journeys and, of course, in the music and entertainment industry. You are definitely one whose name I've heard for several years, for years and years, doing your thing.
Years and years, probably.
Yeah. Thank you for this. I'm excited to kick off Lady Legends with you, Miss Vicki Mack Lataillade.
Oh, I'm a
Yes.
Oh, yay. Okay.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that first job in the music industry.
Well, it was pretty crazy. I was looking for internships because I was a theater arts major. And my first internship was with Diana Ross, believe it or not. Babysitter.
Wow. Amazing. Wow.
And so that was the first one. And then I had an internship with Richard Pryor on a film called Adios Amigos. This is while I was going to school. And then I got an internship for a job with RCA. It was an ongoing situation with RCA. And these were all internships that were developed through UCLA.
Wow.
Elvis Presley inventory. So that's how I started. This is before computers. Like 40 some odd years ago, you had to actually count the records in the stores and in the warehouse, give that report. And
count one by one. No machines.
One by one. I sometimes think about it. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's what we did.
Okay.
And I was the second Black intern to be for the whole RCA system nationally.
So how did your love for music begin? Can you recall your first music memory?
My first love for music probably was show tunes, number one, because my mom played show tunes at the house all the time.
Okay.
Like Flower Drum Song, and then one day there was a song called "Oh Happy Day," and the people came from Oakland, and I lived in San Mateo. And when I saw them, I was done. That record was so big, "Oh Happy Day," and the people were so classy. I'd never seen anything like that in gospel. We didn't even really consider it so much gospel. It was just hip music at the time because I was not. It wasn't that I wasn't raised as a Christian, but we didn't necessarily go to church all the time and all that kind of thing. But I was just done with Walter and Edwin Hawkins. And I remember him taking me to the Cow Palace to see them. And I remember people would raise their hands, and I didn't know what it meant, but I raised my hands too every time I was praising with everybody else. And that's how I got started. And then there was another song. These were very contemporary at the time. There was another song by this guy named Rance Allen. And he had, I didn't even know it was a gospel song. It was called "Ain't No Need in Worrying About Your Problems." And that's how he became huge with this song that crossed over. And I remember I'd sit and listen to that. And the rest of the songs on the album were very Christian.
Okay.
So I was sitting there and getting fed so much. And then when I went to college, I got saved. So
Got you.
The music was the feeding ground that got me there. Yeah.
Is that where you knew you wanted to kind of continue on that path in the music industry to
I gotta tell you something. It wasn't the love of music, it was the love of business.
Okay.
I'm a business lover, and when the opportunity came up, I thought, oh, this was so great. I could put everything together, but I wanted to be a businesswoman. My grandfather was in the Marcus Garvey movement and was all about Black folks having their own and raising their own money and being able to do this. So that's kind of how I was raised, more than the music part. I was a flautist. I played flute in high school. But business, when I was a kid, I was different people's managers in junior high and high school for political campaigns and things like that they were doing. And then we had a theatrical group when I was in high school, and I was the business manager and raised the funds to put on the plays. So it was the business end of it that I really loved, and the marketing.
I spoke with 3 people that you worked closely with. Of course, Donald Lawrence, as he's family to me. Troy Clark.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and Neely Dickerson. And
those are all my people. Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely. And they all, among other great things they said about you, they talk about your marketing, like you're the queen of marketing. So I know I
come up with ideas, and I don't think I was boxed in by anything. So I never understood why gospel couldn't do everything everybody else was doing. Why wouldn't you want to be here? Why wouldn't they be on this radio station? Why, wouldn't they do that? And of course, when I was at Light Records, before I started my own company, we had Andre Crouch, Walter Hawkins, who, to tell you the truth, in sales was bigger than Andre Crouch.
Oh, really?
People don't know that, but
right.
Walter was selling like crazy. Andre was selling too, and had a crossover audience. But Walter and those Hawkins, they were moving the numbers,
So is it true? I've heard that as you just mentioned, the Hawkins music was so contemporary and different than what anyone had really heard. It wasn't embraced immediately, or is that true? Okay.
That's absolutely true. Oh Happy Day was a problem. A lot of gospel stations wouldn't play it at first.
Okay.
And
wow.
And they would not play it. They thought it was like rock and roll, was what was called back then. And then I got my first project on my own at Light Records, which was Tremaine Hawkins. And we had a big problem with that because she had long red nails. And that was
a big thing, huh?
That was the big thing then. She had long red nails. So I had kind of all the revolutionaries back then. I had the Winans, the Hopkins, and then I got Tremaine, and I got Vicki Winans, and a host of others. And they were all considered, commissioned. They were all considered very radical back then. And Bobby Jones we had, and all these people were radical, and people would get on your case about them. And Tremaine with the long red nails, I thought everyone was going to have a conniption on that one.
So how did you respond to that? Because we have more to talk about, and you're speaking about that even in that part of your journey where the artists that you work with, the folks had an issue with it. They had, from the nails to the, we'll get to stomp and all of that. But it seemed, I'm sure it was challenging, but it seems your demeanor seems like, they were up in arms, but we just kept going. Like, did that deter you? Did it discourage you at all? Or you just blocked it out and kind of kept going?
No, I did. I went through a lot, and I'm sensitive, and sometimes I really have to watch depression. So, but it was, my faith told me, this is what you're supposed to do. Do it anyway. Just keep moving forward. The thing I've had to struggle sometimes with, but keep moving, is you're not going to always be doing what I was doing. and also pioneering it, that you just have to move forward. You have to do it scared. You're scared sometimes, but you have to keep moving forward in what you believe you're supposed to be doing. And that's what I did. I was very afraid a lot of times. Very afraid. And, you know, I had a lot of people starting to come against me and telling me I was leading their children to hell, and especially.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, yeah. It was something. And Donald Lawrence, for example, Donald Lawrence, who's a genius, was the first artist I'd ever seen in gospel that had competitive music behind it, the engineering, just the technical and what he heard. And he helped me pick reason why we sing on Kirk Franklin too. He said, Vicki,
really?
Is a hit. Yep.
Okay.
Because Donald was my first child. He was the first artist that I signed to GospoCentric. And,
he says that you called him that. Yes.
I was working for Sparrow Records, and we were working with BB and CC, Denise Williams, and we had a revolutionary record actually, which was called Saints in Praise and Little Saints in Praise from West Angeles Church of God in Christ, which started the worship and praise movement under Patrick Henry.
Yeah, because that was huge. That was really big. Yeah.
Humongous. And so that's where we started, and they were moving to Nashville, and I didn't want to move. And so they said that I could stay in LA, head up the LA office. And I said, well, I want to start my own label. Can I do that? Have a production deal? And they said, yes. And the first record was already done. That was Donald Lawrence, and it did well.
Songwriter's point of view.
Songwriter's point of view. It did very well. And, you know, I was working and everything myself. I was the only employee.
During that album, you were the only employee of your label?
Yeah. And then we got someone else. But back then, and Donald, Troy, any of them will tell you, I'd get up at 4:00, work, do radio.
I hear.
4:00. And
Donald mentioned that every Saturday for about a year, you would call him about 4:00 in the morning, your time, and say, "Come get up, baby. It's time to track. Let's track." And he said, I would spend like 6 or 7 hours on the phone with Vicki and calling. And I was like, wow.
Yeah. Donald worked hard. I worked hard.
Yeah.
And we were so close then, and we had to depend so much on each other. And so what happened was no one would help me. I couldn't get a bank loan. I couldn't get any kind of investors at the time. So I owned everything myself. Wow. And so it turned out help and could do a lot of really good negotiations because of that. I didn't know any better. A lot of things I didn't know any better. I had some other companies, especially Black-owned companies, help me with contracts and things like that because I wasn't sure what to do with that. People like Ty Scott, and then people at major companies like at Capitol and Warner Brothers. There were a lot of women over there that just helped me say, Vicki, you need to do this like this happening like this. And that's how I learned, because when you're an executive at a record label, you really don't learn the business. And I was lacking that. So that's how I learned. Yeah.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing. You know, I'm so inspired by your journey because after a few different scenarios with being affiliated with different labels, different deal structures and whatnot, you know, I quickly learned that I think the better route for me was just to be independent. You know, and it's not easy because there are many things that, you know, running a label or doing your music independently, you just don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. And I experience people that you would hope that would kind of give you the rundown. Hey, do it like this, or you want to get this, or here's this information. Yeah, some can be a little, they can hoard that
information. They can't really tell you because they don't really know. That's what. They really don't know. Of them. They know certain parts of it, but they've never run a successful label all the way through. They might be executives or they have labels, but you know.
Yeah.
they haven't been through all the normal things. And this gets us in where we are today in 2020. A lot of things, Black people work at companies and they're given titles and stuff like that, but we really don't know what's really going on.
Yeah.
We really don't learn. We're there to hold positions for the majority, not for Blacks to learn. And so they would tell you more if they knew more. And so they hold their little radio list and things like that very closely, because a lot of times that's all they have. They only know it on that level. So we have our own infrastructure, but now on top of it, one of the most important things, which I want to congratulate you on so many things you're doing. You've just done a great job, and you've got a huge following on Instagram and Facebook. That is very important. That's what's new, and you've done a great job with that. You have to have that these days.
For sure. That means a lot coming from you. Thank you. It can feel sometimes like off a few of those years where I was trying to figure it out. It felt like all I have is social media. I wish I had a big machine behind me. All I have is social media. But as the years have gone on, it's really all everybody has to a certain extent. So I don't think
at a big machine, unless you're Beyonce or some Kanye or someone like that, you're not going to be number one in these companies. You need someone that's small enough to be around you. The problem is that we eat our young. We eat them up. We don't support in the ways that we need to, and it got to be tiring for me. I had the top selling people, but it was just not enough.
This small Black woman, this little short Black woman with the audacity, the courage, the boldness, the confidence, the guts to say, I'm going to have my own label, and to start in your garage and to have this massive success. And you got these people, mainstream or secular, whatever you want to call it, and gospel, that are looking at you like, how did you do this? I know you had to run into all kinds of envy and jealousy, and had to beef up security. And I was even going to ask you about sexism and misogyny.
Sexism was really bad. I tell these two stories often. One, when I was at Light, one of the VPs there told me I reminded him of his maid, Sadie, and she should clean a good toilet.
Miss Vicki, listen.
I know you started to go like this.
Now, wait a minute now, Miss Vicki.
I would get a lot of that. I would be excluded from a lot of things. I'd have the biggest artists, and I would be excluded from a lot of the power meetings. Not so much now. I've got some really great guys that are supporting me and bringing me in, but for a long time, it was tough. They didn't want me around. I had guys stick their fingers in my face and tell me, listen, you can do what I tell you to do around here. I'm like, you have to be out of your mind. I went through a lot. I'd have them tell me, don't put up any Black. You see, I have art. I'm a collector of Black art. And they don't put any Black faces on your wall in your office.
Really?
Girl, please. There's just a lot of things that would dampen your spirit, but I made it through.
You made it through.
Yeah,
you made it through, Lady Legend. You made it through. My God.
You learn not to fight, because I became such a fighter all the time, and some of that becomes not healthy. And I had to learn how to be healthy. I'm one who believes in counseling, Christian psychiatrists and psychologists and all that kind of stuff, because you can have so much coming at you where you really, I kind of was all alone. There was no one completely that I could go to that had the journey I had, not on the secular or gospel side in music. So it was a lot of times very difficult. Sometimes I would call Miss Hughes, Miss Kathy Hughes. I would talk to Dr. Maddie Moss Clark. She would encourage me. Women like that would just talk to me on the phone, like, Dr. Clark, baby, don't worry about it. Sometimes you just got to fight, things like that. I used to talk to these women because I wasn't sure what to do. I would talk to people like Stephanie Mills, who would say, I'll fight if I have to. And I got strength from that. But sometimes, on the other hand, you're so used to fighting that you don't know how to stop.
And gaining strength from other women that can exemplify that strength. Like, hey, keep going. You're not alone. This happened to me too.
I've had some women that have been with me since the beginning of my journey. We've helped each other, like Lisa Collins from Gospel Industry Roundup and all that. We went to college together. And she told me the other day, she said, girl, I saw you on the screen. You're starting to look old. And she needs those women who you love, they love you back, and they're going to tell you the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you in your life, that's important. And also, I think you need to learn, I've had to learn how to wipe things out of my mind completely. I couldn't keep them there anymore because they were taking up room in my mind and my spirit. And you've got to learn how to move that out and stay with the task at hand.
To balance that, you work so closely with your husband. I work, of course, closely with Rick, and so I know that that's a beautiful blessing and such a gift. And I also know that it can run me up the wall sometimes. So
it was very difficult for me at first because just like you're the artist. And so a lot of times you're getting all the attention and everything's coming to you. And not that my husband was insecure, but sometimes just being a man, and wanting to see things a certain way and not liking people treating me a certain way or having different ideas about things has taken me maybe a lifetime to figure out. Now I couldn't work without him. He's like a part of me, and we still fuss at each other sometimes. We love to fuss.
You love to fuss. I hear you.
We'll just kiss right away, but I didn't like that. That's just kind of relationship we have. But I respect him. He's brilliant, and very quiet to my mouthiness, but he's very strong. And so a lot of people may think he's really quiet and everything, but he really is not with me.
Yeah.
So, and then the thing is on and off. So I'm bossing everything in the office, but baby, that's not gonna work at home. That is not gonna work at home. Brother likes a certain way, and I had to learn. You're this at home, girlfriend, and that's cute. Yeah. But your number one relationship is with this man. And if he's happy, we'll all be happy. And I like it when he's happy, quiet, and just saying, okay, everything's working well. But I had to give him his respect. And he's very smart. And if nobody else is giving him that respect or paying attention to him, it's my job to do that in a way that's healthy so that I could do the things that he would like so he could be pleased with me.
The distribution deal that you had afforded you the opportunity to be distributed in not only gospel stores, but all the stores. Dual marketing strategy that I've heard you mention. Tell us more.
Yes, I learned this from being at RCA Records when I worked there way back in the day, and we were breaking country music. So Dolly Parton, I worked with Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson, all kinds of country people, these guys that did Afternoon Delight, all these songs. John Denver, you might not know some of these names. Elvis Presley.
I know these names.
Okay. But they were huge, taking country music into pop. So country was very much like gospel. It's a niche market. Our job was to figure out how we could take it to the pop stores at the time, pop retail. And so that was the dual marketing approach, to cross them over. One in particular was Dolly Parton, who I actually would go around to with stores. We did merchandising and stuff. So when I started my own label, I got to do this dual marketing approach.
Mm-hmm.
So my first thing was go to the distributors and tell them what I wanted to do. Putting in the gospel stores was not good enough for me. And remember, I had this background of working with retail at RCA, so I knew these people and could call them myself.
Okay.
And one of the sides that was most important was Black retail, urban retail at the time. They would sell gospel, not a lot per se, but I had relationships with so many of them that aren't even here now, but George Music House in Chicago, Royce Fortune in LA, Rainbow Records in New York, these are people I knew from before.
So you could just call them. You had those relationships.
I said, can you carry my record? I'll give you so many that you can use as promos and, you can play and blah, blah, blah. So I had that relationship before I started in gospel.
Okay.
I related to other people. So my mind was I never thought that I'd only be in gospel. I'm like, why? There's a whole bunch of other people selling out there. And I've always thought that way. And like, why would they only be on gospel stations? I respect them, and I know that we had to start there to break a record, but you don't have to stay there. And that's kind of was my thinking at the time. That and it meant a year, 2 years working a single. I would do that, and I had some artists who their friends were, "That's ridiculous. You need to put out the record now." But see, I was from secular too, so I was used to going single to single. Not putting out a whole album, and if it wasn't sounding right and people didn't like it, then we'd come with another until they liked it.
How did you develop such a keen sense of what people wanted or were interested in, when it comes to that marketing strength?
Right. Well, to tell you the truth, I cheated a lot. I would sit in record stores. I would help record stores sell product. I'd work there on the weekends sometimes, and I'd sit behind the counter and listen and help them sell music that wasn't mine. There were just different stores. I would just sit there. I spent all my time in there, and thank God I had a patient husband. But and then I would go to stores, and I had to count inventory in there. So I would just sit and look and see what they were buying and why they were buying it and why they liked this cover. And so I kept my hand in a lot of it, and I just felt, because I'd worked in film and so many things, that why should gospel people not do this? And the fact was that historically, gospel people had Mahalia Jackson. She was in movies. She was a star.
Right.
She was an absolute star. She did television. They did something called the Ed Sullivan Show. The Claire Award singers. They were before the Supremes. They had all them wigs on and stuff, and they would go do the churches. But they were the first gospel artists to work in Vegas.
Wow.
Women were doing things back in the day. Somehow, I don't know what happened. It got a little stifled there. But when you look at, like I said, Dr. Mattie Mouse Clark, Tremaine Hawkins, these women had to work. Shirley Caesar, Albertina Walker, these women had, and they were no joke, because they had to go out and collect their own monies a lot of time. As a matter of fact, now this is a rumor I heard, but I actually believe it. I'll just say some of the women used to carry guns, because first of all, some of the men would be on them. God knows what was happening there. They had to go through the whole South in places where they couldn't stay in hotels. This woman couldn't stay in hotels. They were traveling like the caravans. They had to stay at people's houses. Howard Hewitt's mother had a radio station, and she had one of the houses that people stayed in. They couldn't. It was kind of like the Green Book. They knew what houses they could stay in because they couldn't stay in hotels. And these women inspired me. We paved the way, and those women before me, they went through a lot. To pay for it. Now it's your turn.
And now, and you paved the way for me.
Y'all got it. I was always praying. I said my promoter was Jesus, and so we pray and ask him to be our promoter. And but I think a lot of the reason that did so well was because I became partners with Jimmy Iovine. And Jimmy Iovine did.
That's huge.
Yeah, and I would talk to him every day, and he would make a lot of phone calls that I couldn't make. Oh, you want salt and pepper? Okay, we'll do this. Oh, you
Mm-hmm.
want that? The people that I was exposed to at that time, it was crazy. I went to a conference, a secular conference. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it was Jack the Rapper or what. And I was
Okay.
going on in the conference room before Suge Knight and his folks.
Wow.
And the way they talk, we're gonna have platinum in this, we the baddest this, and we're this and that. And I left that meeting because I was gonna go on after a break, and I just started crying. I said, they can't have more faith than me.
Mm.
I got Christian artists. Why should I think I'm secondary to them? I'm not. We're the head, not the tail. I'm not gonna let this
Wow.
group selling whatever they're selling, half of which I don't agree with, be bigger and badder than me. I'm not gonna do.
I love
So I
this.
went in there and I said, I'm Vicki Mack, and I have the biggest and baddest gospel label. We sell more than anybody else, and this record is gonna go platinum. It's gonna hit platinum. That's what we said. And we're gonna do this. And I was just like shaking because I was so mad in a way
Yeah.
that we thought of ourselves secondary because we had a little gospel label and that I had to look like less than
Mm-hmm.
these secular artists, Tupac,
Mm-hmm.
like that. I was just like, no, I'm not gonna accept that. I'm not gonna accept
Wow.
that. My
Wow.
artists are as hot and strong as these people, and that's what I'm gonna start confessing. I'm not gonna let some people that have been in prison and all this be stronger than me. And I got Jesus. Oh no, you're gonna know today. And
I
that's
love that.
that's what I felt because they really, like, I laugh about it because they pushed me into it. I just was so I had righteous indignation that I was
Yes.
going to think for myself that my artists were any less. And that record did go ship platinum too.
You know, I saw that clip of your mom on Oprah, and just talking to you, as if I know her, right? But just from that clip,
Where,
you remind me of her, and no doubt, you gleaned this strength. I know that you looked at all these other women that we've talked about, but
yeah, for my
yeah,
mom.
she had such a beautiful story of strength and courage, and it was just beautiful to see when you came on and surprised her, and she was so beaming and proud, and it was just beautiful
Yeah.
to see you all proud of one another, and she didn't even want to talk about her anymore.
She's fabulous. She's the one who's fabulous. She has the #5 gospel record company in the United States. Really? She's fabulous.
She's on a whole another planet. I'm gonna interview her myself. She has that spirit of no. She had me at 16. She got married at 16, 15, 16. She had
Okay.
me back to school, got a college education, went and became the first Black host nationally, I think, for Good Morning San Francisco, all those good morning shows. My
Yeah.
mom was one of the first on there with her own show.
Wow.
She had a jazz show. Yep. My mother became the first Black mayor of San Mateo, California, a predominantly white city. So, and
Wow.
then my father was incredible. So I came from a family of people that were like, you can do this. I've been hearing some music lately. I think some of the artists just lately are just really starting to come out with some things, which is why, I have a little show now called Car Fittable
Right.
on
Yes.
IG, on Instagram, because we need to push more the new artists like Kurt, Donnie McClurkin, and all those.
Yeah.
They're here, but they shouldn't be the only thing
Mm-hmm.
anymore. The genre must grow. We must have new artists. Those need to be the legends, and we should have new artists that are selling like crazy. I had
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity to work with Lecrae, so that was a good one. But we need stuff now to be breaking on names that aren't as known, or the genre is not going to be.
Who do you like? Who do you listen to? Like when you're chilling, or just some of the new music? Who do you listen to?
Well, first of all, I must say I listen to all kinds of music.
Okay.
I
Me too.
enjoy your music, of course. There's a guy right now that I'm head over heels. I think he's a gospel artist. I'm not sure, but this Toby Inigwe,
I don't know how.
I'm
I
not
don't know
sure.
his genre. Yeah, but he has a
He
little bit
may
of
not
everything.
call himself a genre, but as long as he sticks with Jesus, I'm good.
Yep.
He can call himself Man on the Moon music, which
Yes.
you're going to get more of. But the things I've been hearing from him are incredible. I mean, I like PJ Morton.
Yes.
I mean, like, I'm really a fan of PJ Morton. I like Jonathan McReynolds.
Yes.
I think he's incredible. When you're on that stage, you're ministering, but you are also entertaining. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to see somebody that looks like they just came out of H&M with me. I don't like that.
Yeah, I hear you.
Something.
Give me artists, give me star, give me you should be on stage.
Give me something. Yes. Because I'm spending my time with you. In some cases, I'm paying.
For sure. Exactly.
And I want to see something. And that's what I like about Donald Lawrence, honey.
Yes.
He's always going to give you. But, you know, he got that from the Hawkins to a degree, I would say, because they were, the Hawkins, when they came on, you knew you weren't just seeing somebody off the street.
Right.
You were getting ready to be razzled and dazzled in every way. And Kurt Carr with those women that can squall on you in heels.
Yes.
Yes. I don't care. Like I said, I don't care if you have on jeans, but give me something special and give me a hat or something. You're still in an industry. And
this is entertainment. You know, people in gospel can shy away from the word performance and all of that, but it's an entertainment.
Look at you. You look like a star. You gave me some green hair this time, and it's fabulous.
Thank
you.
I
want that. I want that, and it's exciting to me, and it makes me excited to get up and do things, and I'd like to see more of that. I know budgets are small a lot of times now, but this is something that Fred Jerkins told me. He said, get on YouTube and learn how to do that hair and that makeup.
Rick, we and Rick were just talking about that. You know, everybody's doing their stuff from home, and sometimes people show up on these cameras looking a little rough. He was like, why you look? I was like, some people just don't know how to do their hair and makeup at home, but it's essential if you're trying to
have it natural or something. You got a look. You have to have a look. You have to have a thing about yourself. When people see me, they expect to see natural and wild and kooky. And when I see you, I expect to see some hair, some fabulous hair. And you might give me a color, blonde or whatever, but I like that. It's fun.
What makes a hit to you?
You should be able to sing it to me on the phone. Not necessarily even with a track, and I can hear it. And I want to start singing it back. That's what makes it. And I think we've proven that you don't have to have the best voice per se.
Right. That's true.
You know, you could just talk it out even, and that may work. But a great song takes care of everything. It has to be a great song. The other thing is I never believed in beat selections. You better give me every song like it's going to be the hit. Don't give me any fillers. I don't want them. I think it's very disrespectful. You should be doing a project like every single could be the hit or take it. Because you don't really know, but you shouldn't be okay with, well, this is just a filler for the project. Right. Don't do it. Do not do it. Let them fight over what is the best song.
I hear that. I don't believe in album fillers either. So what would you say is your biggest accomplishment?
My biggest accomplishment is probably marrying Claude.
I love it.
It's marrying Claude. I
love that.
So many things available for me. And he's taught me so many things so that I could be enhanced in business. I could be enhanced as a mother. I could be enhanced in so many ways. That was the smartest thing I did. And, you know, when everything else is gone, we plan to be together for as long as we can be together, you know.
But another huge accomplishment was your work at Central South, which had among others, you mentioned Lecrae and all, but massive success with Tamala Mann. So of course,
and David,
the Best Days album. It went gold. I think it's on its way to platinum.
Yeah, it should be getting close to platinum by now.
For sure. Yeah,
Oh, this
indeed.
fan isn't bothering you, but
Exactly. No, it's fabulous and it matches my hair, so we are good. So you are big on reinvention, and you definitely did that all throughout your career. So before we go, I definitely want to talk about what you're doing now. But I was going to ask you if GospoCentric was now in the social media age, how would you market your artist if it
I
was
think I
like
would
in the social
try to
media?
find as many innovative things online, and people are doing television shows now, plays. I'd be pushing that a lot more. The music now is kind of a lost leader; it leads you somewhere, and so I'd be pushing even a lot more for people to have multiple income streams as artists. Multiple.
Okay.
I don't know if I would. I didn't then either, but I wouldn't sign an artist that looked like all they could do was sing.
Okay.
They'd
have
have
some
to
other
be
layers.
working with acting skills. They'd have to be working on things they could do online. We'd be talking about, I like to customize things for each artist. So I'd have to look at the artist and customize that thing in terms of what their strengths are. And also, I like trying to find things that nobody else is doing. If everybody else is doing this, don't do that.
Yeah.
Do something else, and you gotta have the numbers. I don't think I would even talk to anybody that had no numbers on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, something, because they're not doing their preliminary job. To me, they don't want it bad enough. Now you have to be at a certain degree before you even think about going to labels. You need to have your own machine somewhat.
So what do you think that is? 10,000 followers, 5,000 followers, 20,000?
If you're an artist,
yeah,
I think you would have to have at least 10,000 to be an artist to start.
Yeah,
you just have to. And I see you're over 100,000 or something like that. That's important if you want to sell any music and if you want to have dates. But you've got to have people responding back to you, so that when you've got a record or a project coming out, you can say, go get it, and they'll go do that for you. You got to have fans these days.
So we have car fittable talks, which I think is so unique and so cool. I love the graphic for it and all of that.
That's my daughter doing that. That's my daughter, Shami.
It's great work. It's great work. Yeah, to have that in-house is really a blessing.
Yes, I have all that in-house with me.
Yeah. So tell us about Car Fittable. How did you come up with Car Fittable, and who is it that you want to talk to in those conversations?
Yeah, Car Fittable came about kind of by mistake. Claude and my daughter said, you got to do something different. And she says, you're boring. The way you're doing stuff is you're just boring, Mom. You got to do something that you're really comfortable with. And she says, when you're in the car, you and Dad are really funny. She says, and it's really, so we were talking. She says, well, just try this on the camera in the car. And my husband and I did it, and we were just talking. And she's that's what people want to hear. That's what's interesting. And I was like, you've got to be kidding. And she says, it's not so much just being glamorous and all that. We want to hear where you're coming from. We want to learn some things. And you guys are just naturally comfortable talking, and you're funny. And I'm like, really? So did a few of them, and people were responding back. This is what we like. They wanted to know more about our marriage. And then I had this passion. I really want to hear what the next music is. I want to hear, I have a playlist called The New. I want to hear what's new. If it's somebody established, I want to get a little depth in the record. I want to know things about that person that maybe they're not on that bio. I want to know about the person real, why I should follow them, why anyone else would want to follow them, what is it about them that's really interesting. I want to hear somebody talk to somebody like their friends, like I'm sneaking in on a conversation. I like to know the inside things, who you are for real.
I love how you said it. Just giving a peek like you're listening in on someone's convo. So that's super dope. With Vicki Mack's Wax Track, you curate these songs and
curate songs, and I'm looking for a lot of really new stuff. Just getting back into music because gospel was it was really frustrating me. I just wasn't hearing anything. I was hearing the same songs over and over again, and that was bothering me. And I just think there's got to be more out there. So we said we'll try this. This is one thing I want to say to your listeners. I have failed so many times. I have tried so many things, and they haven't come through. And you just have to keep trying. You got to go next if it doesn't work, because you only have to succeed one good time. I succeeded one good time, and I'm going to succeed another time. But I've had like 100 different things. So
that's good to hear.
You got to pick yourself up and try something else. And, I asked the Lord to help me with innovation and what else is there for me to do. If you try things, you're going to fail a lot more than you're going to succeed. And at first you'll fall down, but you'll think, oh, I can't do this. I failed. So
yeah. Keep going. Keep going. Well, Mrs. Vicki Mack Lataillade, thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you for having this conversation today. And I believe that the viewers are going to be so inspired by so much that you shared with us, but I can definitely immediately say that I'm inspired by your journey. I'm inspired to keep pressing on.
Thank you so much. And I'm glad to be the first one. I hope it turns out really well for you.
Thank you.
Informative, encouraging, educational, inspirational. Much appreciation and respect to Mrs. Vicki Mack Lataillade for this quality time. Be sure to add her Spotify playlist and follow her at Vicki Mack Lataillade on Instagram to catch car-fittable talks. We look forward to what's next for this lady legend. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Don't forget to click like and subscribe for more great content. This episode of Lady Legends is dedicated to one of our icons who will truly be missed. Here's to the life and legacy of Bishop Rance Allen.